Here we're going to hear how to pitch to them and how to develop those relationships. And I want to introduce Jay, who's going to moderate, and introduce the other panelists.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jay Yum. I'm a co-founder and managing director at TransLink Capital. We're a Palo Alto-based venture capital firm with a twist. The twist is myself and my two co-founding partners all used to run corporate investments for big Asian tech companies here in the US. And the topic is, I think, very relevant, although I think it's been labeled a little bit differently than it should. The key relevance of this topic is that there are several strategic investors, big technology companies out of Asia and specifically in Korea that can make an impact to the ecosystem. And these are big companies like Samsung that you've heard about earlier, LG, Hyundai Motors, SK Telecom, to name a few. And nowadays, more so, some of the leading internet and mobile and gaming companies out there, like NHN, like Daum, Line, Nexon, and a bunch of others that potentially could be very interesting partners and investors for the startups here in Silicon Valley. And I can tell you from my direct experience, all of these big strategic companies in Asia, from internet, mobile, gaming, to manufacturing companies, are extremely interested in finding the most innovative tech companies in Silicon Valley to partner with, because they see that as a competitive advantage to be able to work with the best and brightest to enhance their existing businesses, as well as find opportunities for new business areas. So we have a great panel today. We have a good mix of a couple of major strategic players out of the internet and mobile market in Korea, NHN and Daum, who will introduce themselves. And we have some of the leading venture capital firms here in Silicon Valley that have built partnerships with these strategic investors to help them find the relevant startup companies to work with, and also be able to access the roadmaps and insights of some of these big tech players to be able to make more informed investment decisions. So a little bit of a preamble, but what I'd like to do is have our panelists introduce themselves each. And please, Julie.
And first of all, it's very honored to be here. It's the first conference, right? It's very honored. I'm Julie Kim, and I'm in charge of strategic investment and M&A, including the equity investment for Daum Communications based on the Seoul, Korea. Actually, I am in charge of M&A, including, as I mentioned before, so I am interested in the direct investment and as well as indirect investment, like LP. Thank you.
I'm honored to be here. Jay say NHN, but our company recently renamed ourselves into Naver, our major service. I'm Jung An Lee, taking care of corporate dev efforts at Naver. And my job is executing M&As and strategic investments there. And also, I'm taking care of the interaction with venture community in Korea and also in Silicon Valley. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Young Chung with DAG Ventures. We are a mid-stage venture capital firm here in Palo Alto. We invest at a pretty rapid pace, which is why we tend to spend a lot of time in the fundraising market every couple years or so. And I think the reason I'm on this panel is we've started to focus a little bit more on Asia and specifically Korea. This gentleman, Jung An, to my right, is our only Korean LP at the moment, but we hope to add Julie and some other corporate strategics in Korea.
Hi, thank you for having me here. My name is In-Sik Ri. I'm a general partner with Rembrandt Venture Partners. We're an early stage investment firm based in Menlo Park. And across 3 funds, we manage just shy of $300 million. And we have many of our decisions and investments are tied to companies focused on B2B and B2B2C, selling mainly into or through enterprises. And you know, the relationships that we've had with corporates have traditionally been through the domestic U.S. market, so big banks and pharma and telcos, the usual suspects, and in the country, that brands that we know. But we've also have had outreach across Asia Pacific and Europe, and it's been a very recently where we had an investor from Korea, and in terms of our ability to validate approaches for our own companies, whether most of all, actually all of our investments are US-based companies, but as they actually grow and scale, it's been great to have an understanding of a more global view in terms of how they can approach other markets successfully.
Thank you. So I guess the first question that I'd like to ask the panel is, so obviously Daum and NHN, big strategic investors from Korea, dominant players in the mobile and internet markets there. Why would you consider investing in Silicon Valley-based venture funds? What was the objective when you started to build relationships and ended up investing in funds like DAG or Rembrandt or TransLink, etc.?
The reason we invest on you, including you, invest on the venture capital based on the Silicon Valley is to make money, definitely. So that is the reason, but there are another thing. I mean that there are more important things for us to invest on the venture capital in Silicon Valley. Actually, we are always looking for prospective and innovative ventures in Korea and in global also, because we want to work together. You know, we do believe that to face the challenge, I mean the huge challenge like this environment, to face the challenge, we have to work together with the right partner, like a venture in Korea and including these Silicon Valley ventures. And we were a long time, we were thinking about how to find the right partner. So at that time we met you. So I realized that the best way and the efficient way, the most effective way to find the right partner, venture partner, is to find the right venture capital partner. So that's why we invest on the venture capital in Silicon Valley.
Thank you. Jung An?
Almost the same story with Julie. Actually, investment is, by definition, an act of seeking profit. So making money out of the investments is one of the reasons, I mean, for every investment. But if financial return is the only thing we want from the investment, maybe I would not have invested in Silicon Valley venture capital funds, because Korean venture funds provide a very good opportunity for us to earn money on venture investing. So the basic motivation behind our decision to make investments in Silicon Valley venture funds is to learn from VCs, venture capitals, what's happening in the most innovative region, place, and how they are doing their jobs, and their insights and views about the area of our interest. So and sometimes we may want to get a kind of an early access to interesting projects that may be of help to us. So when we look at the opportunities to invest in Silicon Valley venture funds, we are looking at the opportunity on basically on three criteria. The first is the focus area, whether they are focusing on the area of our interest, i.e. internet and mobile. And And number two, certainly the past track record. Have they been doing a good job? Something like that. And the third thing is the capability and willingness to work with us. I mean, to help us learn from them. Yeah, that's our criteria. And yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. You know, the same question to our esteemed venture capital colleagues here. Obviously, there are many types of investors that you could accept fund investments from, and I believe the majority are financially oriented investors. So why would you be interested in taking capital from a strategic partner like an NHN or a Daum?
So classically for most VCs, our LP base is purely financially driven and motivated in terms of why they decide to invest with us. And that includes pensions, endowments, and family offices and corporate and whatnot. In an operating sense, we have our own mandates of how we invest. We have an investment thesis and a philosophy on what's considered an attractive market, attractive stage company, and a sort of a prepared mind around how we want to make investment decisions. And the LPs do not have a say or a vote in that process. However, if there are companies and partners that have a very specific and similar view toward market development as we do, so such as internet or mobile, or whether it's gaming or advertising or semiconductors, then those synergies are a bonus for, we believe, for both parties. So we gain benefit from learning about other sort of heavyweights in other countries and regions, and we learn about the market, and we learn about how those markets differ and develop. Sometimes, in the case of Korea, in fact, I would say they are ahead of the US market in many regards as it relates to consumer adoption patterns and mobile and internet technologies. So that's a very big plus and benefit to us. And then for our portfolio companies and the companies that we do make investments in, as they mature to becoming a mid-stage or later stage company and start expanding their footprint, they absolutely have a desire and intent to be international and global. And so they cherish those introductions and connections when we can make them, so that they can have a conversation with a Samsung or a Naver or Daum or LG or others as it relates to their respective fields. So we do spend more bandwidth and time and attention to nurturing these relationships, because it helps me and us do our job more effectively if we understand how the customers think about certain technologies and products and markets, especially in the B2B markets.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, there are three reasons why we've been looking at Korean LPs in our last couple of fundraising cycles. The first one is purely personal. It's when an LP makes a commitment to come into your fund and to support you, it's a 10-year marriage that you're entering into, and I think it's lost on a lot of people that, just like entrepreneurs, when they take in capital, they don't view all capital being equal, right? It's about value add. It's about whether or not you get along with the person who is championing the investment at the particular VC firm. I get together on a regular basis with all of our LPs, and you have to fundamentally want to work with these people. And we've found that a lot of the corporate strategics in Korea not only understand the business that we're in, but they understand technology trends. They're oftentimes more forward-thinking than even some of the leading companies here. There's the value-add component and the synergy component, which is the second reason. And then the third reason is we're in a very long-term business, so we take a very long-term view on fundraising as well. It may take 2 or 3 fund cycles to convert an LP to come into your fund. There's just a lot of money in Korea. There's a lot of institutional money in Korea, and I think that my experience has been having credible technology companies that are well known in Korea come into your fund as an LP is a great signal to some of these large institutional, public pension funds. I think National Pension Service in Korea is $300 billion right now. I think it's the 4th largest in the world. They've been dabbling in investing in US private equity and real estate funds. I think it's just a matter of time that an organization like that will start to invest in venture. And so, it's all about building a presence in a particular market, establishing credibility, because nobody wants to be the first LP from a given region into a fund. So that's another, I think, huge piece of value that Naver has brought to our credibility.
Well, thank you. I think the next question that I think could be interesting is kind of what are the specific examples and benefits that you've experienced by working or collaborating, I guess, with your counterparts in Korea or Silicon Valley, benefits that be able to take a peek into the future. So I think Jeff Clavier earlier and even Christine Tsai had mentioned this. In terms of digital connectivity, it's very difficult to find a more connected area than Korea. Of course, in Silicon Valley, we're very fluent and familiar with what's going on here, but that's only a part of the entire US market. But Korea overall is probably one of the most digitally savvy, advanced, and connected societies in the world. And one of the things that being able to get access to what's happening there actually would help us find interesting opportunities here because we can see what the trends are coming. The specific story that I have from a number of years ago was told by a couple of good friends of mine that are partners at Accel, which everybody knows is one of the premier venture capital firms here in Silicon Valley. I think it was 2005 or so when I was managing Samsung's venture operations. They had pinged me to ask a favor to arrange some meetings in Korea. At the time, they had heard about all these fantastic advances in broadband and mobile and had heard of something called SciWorld at the time. And they had actually visited Samsung and SciWorld and a bunch of other companies. And I heard only 2 years ago when the CEO and chairman of KT visited Silicon Valley and had lunch with the Accel partners that one of the reasons that enabled Accel to, as a partnership, invest and fully support Facebook was the fact that they had seen the impact of a social network like SciWorld in the Korean market. So to be able to take a peek into what could happen and then take that as a lesson to reflect that in their investment criteria, I think is something extremely valuable in terms of what we can get out of the relationship. So any specific examples or stories you'd like to share in terms of what are some of the benefits that you've experienced to date?
I think to make the synergy and make the good story, I think we need to give an effort for each other to make the synergy between VCs and LPs, I think. I think there are some stories for us. Actually, our management team, including our CEO, visit Silicon Valley twice a year, I think once a year, to meet a lot of ventures to find the right partner. So I think we need effort. In conclusion, we met some good ventures. There are Ubli, I remember that. Ubli is, I think whether you know the Ubli is a quite good prospective company based in US. It's a kind of a smart toy using the iPhone and Android phone. It is very good example, I think. I saw that when I met her, the CEO, the product is quite good. I feel that it is very good. And I heard that their business is doing well in US, right? And also they have a chance to work in the Japan, right? Japan market through the venture capitalist. And also we are interested in to work together in Korea. I think it makes sense even in Korean market also. There's a Uber story, and another story is related to the technology. One is air plug. Air plug is a specific technology, but we are considering to apply their technology on our product in Korea. We have a lot of application in Korea, so we are considering on that. And also, we are considering to apply the content agent. It is analytics tool. It's very brilliant tool. So we are talking about the partnership with them. I think this is going to be a good story.
Those are some great examples. Jung An, any examples on your end?
Actually, I don't have many examples, specific examples to talk about right now. But actually, when we started making relationship with Silicon Valley venture capitalists 3 years ago, it was kind of an experiment for us. So we just wanna do something in this kind of area, and just started to let them play and see how it play out. So given that our main goal is to learn from VCs, I think our partner venture capitalists have been very helpful to us, because especially, for example, TransLink Capital made a very early introduction of Chartboost and Soundhound and Tango, which are all of them are doing very well. So making introduction of Nexenta and kind of infrastructure technology companies, and that kind of sharing insights and sharing ideas and making introduction to very promising projects were very helpful for us to come out with our strategies or something like that in a later stage. So actually, our company Naver is very dominant player in Korea in the area of search. I mean, with a market share of 70%. But our company has been a local company focusing almost solely on Korean operation until we launched our free messenger service named Line. So I think things will change in the future. So we may need a kind of a more active corporate development efforts in the area in the global arena. So I hope our partner venture capitalists here in Silicon Valley will be more helpful going forward. I hope.
Okay, we will. So I do want to actually turn around and thank the feedback that we got from NHN, which helped us actually to get the confidence to invest in Chartboost at a very early stage. Without the feedback from NHN or some of the gaming companies like Nexon or Tencent or Gree or DNA, we wouldn't be able to figure out that this would be a good opportunity to invest in. So that's actually another example of the venture capital firms benefiting from the strategic perspective of our partners. Young, Inshik, any other benefits that you've seen, specific examples?
Yeah, no, we've introduced several portfolio companies to Line, one of the fastest growing business units within Naver, and they've gotten a tremendous amount of intelligence and help on product roadmap, internationalization strategy, so it's been really helpful. And I think, historically there have been a lot of great companies that have been built copying US business models and just translating them into a local geography. I think that's going to start to change. I've already seen it with some of our portfolio companies taking ideas from Asia, implementing them here in the US, and really accelerating their growth curve. So we are in the business of sharing best practices and best ideas amongst our portfolio companies. And you know, Line and Naver have been just tremendous partners from that standpoint.
From, I would say about, as long as we've done, you know, venture in the last decade, traditionally most companies have aimed at EMEA markets as being #2 markets, and we're seeing this shift where Asia Pacific is actually taking some precedence in some of the companies that we work with in terms of being the next opportunity. Part of it, it's a purely financial dynamic where people believe, and are correctly so, that the Asian economies are growing faster and more healthier than some of the European economies. And so, you know, as a trend, the relationships that we have in Asia Pacific and in Korea have been very much more valued to portfolio companies than ever before. And I think that you know, we have a portfolio company where the expansion, the natural expansion from U.S. was not go to London and set up an office. Instead, they went and worked, in this case, in Australia, and then now they're moving into Southeast Asia and Korea and Japan. So the relationships are not only valuable now as from understanding market dynamics, but from a U.S. company and portfolio company's perspective, entrepreneurs' perspective, they're seeing our ability to provide access to Korean conglomerates or important companies like Naver and Daum and Line as being very helpful. So, you know, we think that trend will continue at least for the next 5 years.
We're running out of time, but I'd like to give the audience an opportunity to ask any questions. Again, it's rare to have a combination up here where you have you know, very important strategic players in industry, internet, mobile, as well as venture capitalists. So you have an opportunity to ask questions that might have a variety of different answers and responses. Is there anybody in the audience that has a question? I know it's late in the afternoon, and I'm sure everybody's eager to get to cocktails. I see one in the back.
What are some of the most exciting trends that you're interested in Asia as well as in the United States?
I think everybody heard that, but the question was, what are the most exciting trends that you see in Asia as well as in the US? Trends. Yeah.
Well, I believe that you enjoyed the buzz launcher on the floor. Actually, mobile launcher is quite hot in Asian market, especially in Korea, the mobile launcher business, I think, including the social, right?
Actually, if I may add, I had a chance to hear the pitch from the company BuzzPia, which is one of several launcher products. Now, some of you may be familiar with what a launcher is. I think the one that was probably most heavily covered in the press was Facebook's Home, which is basically a home screen alternative to your current mobile device, and it would enable you to have direct interfaces with the various functions on Facebook. What's happening in Asia, specifically in Korea, there are several companies and several millions of users that now are picking and choosing what home screen they will want to interface with when they actually unlock their screen. And it's a trend that I think has grown dramatically in Korea over the past few months. These companies are now coming out to the US. You see similar companies happening in China as well. And so, again, it's one of those things that I don't think it's really hit Silicon Valley. I would be willing to bet my own capital that in the next 6 months you'll be hearing more about these kind of launcher companies, and actually there'll be probably more copycat companies here in the US that are going to try to emulate what's happening there. Because if you think about the benefit of being able to control the initial interface on your mobile device, there's a tremendous opportunity there. So that could, I think that's a very interesting trend right now. Jung An?
I don't want to duplicate the answers of Julie, but I have to say that the similar thing, because actually Naver has been kind of a deep sorry, Daum. But Naver has been the portal for Korean internet users. Around more than 50%, 60% people are starting their internet activity from our company's portal. But nowadays, everybody are using smartphones. So on a smartphone, the game is quite different because desktop PCs provide quite a wide screen. So we can catch the audience's eyes through our portal service. But on smartphones, it seems to be, that doesn't seem to be working. So nowadays we are trying to, how can we, captivate the smartphone users? So hence the launcher. Everybody we wanna make people start their smartphone usage from the launcher.
No, this is great. Obviously, these two companies have competing products in the market. But again, I trust me, you'll be hearing more about these launchers because in many ways, it's the mobile equivalent to the online portals because that's your initial interface. You go and you set up it as your home screen, and then you have access to services through that. And it doesn't have to be the initial Apple screen from iOS. It doesn't have to be the Google screen or the screen that Samsung on their cell phones have set up. You as a user can pick and choose and customize, and I think that's going to be very powerful. Jung and Inchik, any cool trends that you've added?
Sorry, we're running out of time.
Yeah, I have to say that Jung has his look of relief is priceless. So anyway, I'm sure they'll be happy to directly answer any questions on trends that they're seeing here locally as well as in Asia. But I do want to thank the panelists for their perspective, and again, thank you to the organizers again for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.